You know what's so funny is that for the last few weeks when Sam Darnold has played solid against the Rams, against the Lions, I came out on this podcast and I said there's clear regression from Sam Darnold. He's got tunnel vision towards Justin Jefferson. He's not seeing his wide receivers as clearly as he was earlier in the season. He's missing Jordan Addison when he's wide open down the field because he's so locked in on throwing to Justin Jefferson. And now that Sam Darnold played his arguably worst game of the season, I'm over here saying, you know what? It's not as bad as you think. I'm a guy that likes to find the center. You know, when Sam Darnold was throwing for 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in the first 5 weeks of the season, it was awesome, MVP stuff. It was playing unbelievable, and that's exactly what it was. It was unbelievable. He was never going to be able to continue that consistency throughout the regular season because what he was doing was not going to be repeatable for him because he's never ever done that in his NFL career before. But then he slowly started to regress. I said he regressed. I received hate mail for that. And now that he played and just threw 3 picks against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and now everyone's so down on Sam Darnold that everyone's asking questions to players on the Vikings team that do interviews like, where's your faith at in Sam Darnold? And Aaron Jones went on the Kay Adams show, sponsored by FanDuel or whatever it is. And he's like, I got 110% faith in Sam Darnold. I believe in Sam Darnold. So now that it's flipped, now I'm going to come on this podcast and say, you know what? Darnold's performance was not as bad as everyone's making it out to be. Because there were a lot of good takeaways, encouraging signs from Sam Darnold in this football game. Stats, 24 for 38, 241 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks. A QBR rating of 33.5 and a passer rating of 48.2. And I'm on X, Elon Musk's website. I'm on that website more than any other website. I got the app on my phone. It's an awesome website. I would highly encourage everyone to get that because of the Minnesota Vikings statistics and statistics around the NFL that the Minnesota Vikings compare to. You can find all of these good information and nuggets on there if you follow the right people. And one of the best people to follow is a Twitter handle known by the Purple Persuasion. The Purple Persuasion finds information from really everywhere about the Minnesota Vikings and posts it to their channel, to their account. And here's one of the things graded by PFF. It says, that was only the Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold's 3rd worst game of the season. He graded lower in the Packers game, a 45.5, and Jets game, a 47.9. For the Jaguars game, he had an overall rating of 61.7. This is per PFF. And a passer rating of 56.5. Now you get the overall 61.7 because of the way he scrambled and eluded the pocket, 7 carries for 28 yards, a long run of 11. He did that, 7 times in that game and did a pretty good job of escaping when he needed to, not leaving too early, but leaving when he needed to and getting some valuable yards. So that's where you get the overall. But then the passer rating of 56.5. And here's why it's so encouraging. And here's why there can be something to look forward to against the Titans, against the Bears, when we play the Packers and Lions again. The Minnesota Vikings only punted twice in this football game. It wasn't one of those situations where it was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, punt, 3 and out, punt, 3 and out. The Vikings moved the ball almost every single time down the field when they had an opportunity to do so. And just for context's sake, the Kansas City Chiefs that put up 16 points on the Denver Broncos, undefeated. Everyone's picked to win the Super Bowl right now, and rightly so. They're undefeated. Their punter Matt Ariza punted 4 times in that football game. Twice as much as the Minnesota Vikings punter Ryan Wright. And that shows you that the Minnesota Vikings drove the football down the field on almost every single possession. You know, if the Minnesota Vikings got down to the red zone and just kneeled the ball on every single possession, they would have put up 21 points in this game. And, just kick field goals on 4th down, which is a little bit of a criticism towards Sam Darnold's throws in the red zone. Obviously, that needs to be corrected. But I would rather have a situation where, at least he's driving us down the field and then he's throwing the ball away versus, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, punt, have no momentum, have no structure, have no consistency or rhythm or anything happening on the offensive side of the ball. So Sam Darnold, his performance is more encouraging than the statistics or than your memory might think it was. Because, you see the interceptions, all 3 attempted passes to Justin Jefferson, all 3 terrible throws, either behind him, tipped to another to another defender. But I like to find the medium. He's not as great as he was the first 5 weeks of the season, and he's not as bad as he was against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not going to go on a rant and just say that this is the end of the Sam Darnold era in the Minnesota. Like, he's done. He's over. He's never going to play an NFL down again. Like, why did we ever sign him? He sucks. This is garbage. This is terrible. That's not the way I'm going to come with it. I always like to find the center. I never buy the most expensive item in the store, and I never buy the least expensive item in the store. I find the middle. I never buy the most expensive pair of shoes. I never buy the crappiest pair of shoes. I always find the middle. My takes are the same. I'm not going to come out with a spicy take and say Sam Darnold's done for. There was a lot of encouraging signs offensively for the Minnesota Vikings in the Jacksonville Jaguars game. They should have crushed them by 30. And that's a good thing. The fact that they could have crushed them by 30 is a good thing. And there was another thing that I found on X that was shared by somebody who I don't follow, but someone shared it, and okay, this looks good. As far as the Minnesota Vikings offense, and this backs up what I've kind of been saying. Here's a tweet that I don't fully understand, but it says, did we really get beat that bad? And this is more for my YouTube audience than my podcast audience. If for my podcast audience, go over to my YouTube channel. You can see it. This is about 8 minutes into the podcast. It says, it's a graphic that shows the level of play between the offenses of each team. And it says net success rate, offensive plays only of winning team. Logo at bottom, top of bar, relative to losing team. Logo aligned on the X-axis. So it shows the Eagles as the first team because they dismantled the Cowboys 34-6. But then at the other end of the spectrum, it shows the Falcons actually higher than the Saints, even though the Saints won that game 20-17. It basically shows how each offensive team performed in this football game based on success rate. And the Minnesota Vikings are second on this list. And the Jaguars are on the way bottom. Jaguars had like a 0% success rate. And the Vikings are at like 14, 15%. The Saints are like minus 15%. I don't know how they won that football game. But this shows you that the Minnesota Vikings actually played well offensively in this game up until the red zone. So his mistakes are correctable. Just don't throw an interception to the other team when you get down close to the end zone. It's something that needs to be fixed, especially if the Minnesota Vikings are going to play well in the playoffs and actually want to do some damage. But I just want to take a pause, take a deep breath, and tell you that, you know what? You don't have to be this bummed out by Sam Darnold and the Vikings' 12-7 win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, because he actually played pretty good. And, everything is kind of defending that take. The offensive rate percentage, the PFF grade, everything is telling us that Sam Darnold's performance was not nearly as bad as it meets the eye, because he drove the football down the field on almost every single offensive possession. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button right there.